Animal Crossing New Horizons has been out for almost 2 years now, and many people have fallen out of the game. New updates are pretty much over with, so there won't be any new content to bring those players back. The only thing we must do now is wait for a new Animal Crossing game to release. That shouldn't take too long. Oh god. The last one only took 7 years and skipped an entire console's lifespan. So, when could the next Animal Crossing game release? Will it be anytime soon, or will we have to wait another 7 years to experience the excitement of a brand new game? To be able to predict anything, we need to take a look back at when past games were released. Look for patterns or some type of criteria as to when Nintendo likes to push these games out. Spoiler alert, there really isn't a pattern. Over the years, each region got their own version of Animal Crossing on slightly different dates. New Horizons was the first installment that released at the same time in all regions. Thankfully, we didn't have to watch Japan get their hands on this one before us like all the others, except City Folk, where North America got it like 4 days early for some reason. If we take a look back at the release dates, there are about 3 or 4 years in between each mainline game, except the gap between New Leaf and New Horizons. This is probably due to the fact that the majority of the development team went to work on other games, most notably Happy Home Designer and Splatoon. Not to mention, after Happy Home Designer development was done, a good chunk of those developers continued on to Splatoon 2. So with the New Leaf development team all over the place, it seemed like there was no one left to work on New Horizons. This is the only excuse I can give them for the length of time between the games. Can't even blame the release of Pocket Camp because that was a completely different group of developers. With New Horizons being the 15th best-selling video game of all time, it seems like a good business decision to start working on a new installment sooner rather than later. Usually, Nintendo only puts one installment of a game series on a console. There are a few exceptions, of course, like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the N64, Splatoon 2 and 3 both on the Switch, and the upcoming sequel to Breath of the Wild. I really hope that title sticks. I love it and hate it. Why come out with a new, never-ending Animal Crossing on the Switch, with probably similar graphics and processing power when we already have one? There's no end to these games, no story to finish, no reason to rush to another game. Nintendo's development team is definitely creative enough to come up with fresh ideas if they really wanted to make a new game a bit different than New Horizons, but it feels very out of character for them to do something just for the money. While they are a for-profit business, Nintendo is one of the few gaming companies left that concentrates on quality rather than quantity. Their games are always well-made, detail-oriented, and for the most part, never really let you down, or run around and desert you, so I couldn't resist. So if we probably aren't getting a new Animal Crossing game on the Switch, we'll most likely have to wait for whatever Nintendo's next console is. Probably something like the Nintendo Omelette. They have weird code names for their consoles, okay? It's better than Dolphin or Project Reality. Ugh, so realistic. Look at all of Mario's corners. The question is, when will we see Nintendo Omelette? Normally, consoles are supported for 5 or 6 years before the company decides to release a new one. Nintendo said in the past that they would want the Switch to have a longer than normal lifespan. In an interview, Kimishima stated that he can see Nintendo supporting the Switch for 7 to 10 years, almost double the amount of time that they would normally spend on one console. The Switch released in 2017, so we're now officially 5 years into its lifespan, which means we might only be halfway through the Switch's life. The console is rapidly approaching the Wii sales numbers. It makes sense to continue supporting something that has hit 92 million units. That is an insane number. It is comfortably sitting at the 6th best-selling console of all time. If Nintendo continues to support it, this number will only increase. The question is, can it keep up with the constant improvement in technology? Even playing Animal Crossing, a very relaxing, slow-paced game, you'll notice frame drops, long loading times, and items just kind of appearing out of nowhere. Will a 5-year-old console be able to handle the release of new games? I'm not worried about the Nintendo first-party games. I'm more concerned as to whether or not third-party developers will be able to successfully port their games over. If it can't handle furniture items in Animal Crossing, how is it going to handle a new Elder Scrolls, or even whatever Monster Hunter game comes out after Rise? Unless they release some kind of Switch Pro that has upgraded processing power or graphics, I don't really know if the Switch will be able to keep up with the market for the next 5 years. Unless they plan to rely heavily on first-party games. Like a new Animal Crossing, maybe? Huh? Probably not. I hope we won't have to wait another 7 years between Animal Crossing games, but I think we're gonna have to wait longer than the usual 3 to 4. especially seeing as we're closing in on the 2-year mark and Nintendo has supported the game up until now with new content. This probably means that all their efforts have concentrated on the constant updates and the new DLC that just released rather than working towards a new installment. I don't see a mainline Animal Crossing game coming out anytime soon. However, I can see a spin-off happening before the Switch dies forever. What that spin-off will be is a very good question. I don't think they'll go in the way of mobile again because the team working on Pocket Camp is very consistent with updates. There's new furniture, new villagers added in to match New Horizons, and new loot boxes to spend all your hard-earned money on. Since we recently received Happy Home Paradise, we probably won't be getting another Happy Home Designer-esque game. Maybe we'll get an actually good Amiibo festival? Or some other kind of spin-off? Animal Crossing Go? Animal Crossing Bloom? On my wish list is some kind of Animal Crossing VR game. That's probably never gonna happen, but I'd be 100% down with that. I guess now we can walk in the first-person camera mode around our island, so that's, I don't know, kind of VR. If you hold it really close to your face, maybe. I hope something comes out between now and the next game. I don't want to wait an entire 7 years with nothing. Amiibo Festival was a nice surprise, even though it was the most disappointing game released on the most disappointing console. Or maybe we'll get lucky and the development team will follow their past patterns and we'll only have to wait like another 2 years before the new installment shows up. For now, I'm gonna work towards my almost impossible goals and New Horizons, like getting all the villager photos and completing the catalog. Enjoy the game we have now, and hang on to the edge of your seat for whenever Nintendo presents us with something new. We can at least look forward to getting one before 2060, since that's technically like the end of New Horizons. So at most, we'll only have to wait another 38 years. Animal Crossing games don't happen overnight. It's not one of those IPs that releases a new game every year or so. They take a lot of work, they're done right, and just like Cherry Blossom season, part of the enjoyment comes from just waiting for it to come back around. Would you like to see a new Animal Crossing soon, or even a new console? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!